Hey everyone, Casey Scanlon here, bringing you another Lake of the Ozarks Fishing Report. It's the first week of February, and they're starting to draw the water down here at Lake of the Ozarks. Finally, we've had the lake kind of at full pool most of the fall, and so now we're a few feet below full pool. You can start to see all those rock transitions on the shoreline. And they just started running some current a week or two ago, so that's kind of moving the fish around a little bit. They were kind of scattered this fall, and the water temperature was pretty warm for normal standards. We were in the mid 40s, low 50s a lot of the fall and winter, and we had that cold snap, and that brought the water temperature down, to 37, 39, 40 degrees in a lot of the lake, put some ice on the water. But we've had a nice little warm up. Most all the ice is gone in the lake. I was able to run around and break in my brand new Nitro here, which I absolutely love. Got some cool updates and features that I'll show you guys in another video later on my social media. But yeah, I've been breaking in the new Nitro, so I've had a chance to see a lot of the lake. And we've got some good water color in a lot of the lake, good fishable, clear water. That's kind of what you want in the wintertime. Cold, dirty water can be hard to fish. The fish lose a little bit of the visibility, and they're sight feeders. They like seeing that jerkbait, that A-rig, and Damiki rig now here at Lake of the Ozarks. So in order to do that successfully, a lot of times, you need a little bit of water clarity, and I ran my boat all over the lake, and we are ice free, and the water looks good, and the fishing should pick up a little bit. So with those super cold temps, obviously the fish are a little bit more lethargic. They're harder to catch, and I myself was struggling to catch quality bass most days. A lot of them are hunkered down to the bottom. You can get some bites, you can see fish on your live scope, but getting them to react, getting them to actually commit to a bait has been pretty tough. But the warmer days that we had last week, the fishing's picking up. We had a few tournaments out on the lake. The weights were pretty low, but like Saturday's weights were really low, and then Sunday they were getting better. So you should see that trend kind of continue. We had that big cold snap, and other than the crappies, I think a lot of the fish were affected by it. So we'll start with the crappies, because I've been doing some crappie fishing, and they've been biting quite a bit for me. And it seems like something moving has been getting their attention a little bit better. Last week I was breaking my boat in, did not have any crappie stuff in the boat, had a few bass lures. So basically, this is the lure I picked up. I had some 8-pound line, 1/8 ounce head that I was using for a Damiki rig, and then just a small swim bait. This is, I want to say it's a 3-inch easy shiner, so pretty good size bait. But I caught 25, 30 crappies and almost as many casts. With them pulling current, secondary points, main lake points, have had a lot of fish around them. They've been suspended in open water, hanging out around brush piles. And a lot of these fish are down in the water column compared to normal. Normally a jerk bait, a real light 1/16 ounce jig over the top of them does really well. But they've been down a little bit further. So it seems like I've been having to use an increased weight. I've been using the baby shad from Bass Pro Shops most days. That swim bait was pretty good though. I like that. Action was fast and furious, easy to fish. But that most days gets the job done for me. Super durable bait. I was throwing it on an 1/8 ounce instead of like the 16th. With the cold weather, a lot of the crappies have been down closer to the bottom. And those are the ones that I've been able to make bite. The fish have been scattered out. Some of them are in groups of 10. Some of them are in 20, 30, 40, 50, all the way up to groups of probably 100 fish. And some of them are scattered out on your screen, but if you can find where the crappies are really dense, really congregated together, those seem to be the schools that I've been able to get the most bites out of. But most of the crappie, I would say, are 8 foot down, 8 to 12 foot down, over 20 foot of water. A lot of them, you get some of these windier days, the fish will get shallower on these points, and a slip bobber becomes really good. Or you can use a fixed cork put it down 4 or 5 feet on your rod, and then just a 1/16 or 1/8 ounce jig underneath it, and drift it across those points, drift it over the top of shallow brush piles. But most of the crappies are relating to points, relating to brush piles. A lot of them in open water around those points, around the backs of creeks, wherever those threadfin shad are at, and you want to see some bait balls on your screen, and those crappies are usually around somewhere. But a lot of them in open water. You can still shoot boat docks. Look for big shady docks. Those are usually the best ones with some wind blowing into them. But yeah, Bass Pro Shops Crappie Max Baby Shad. Check it out. Super good bait. They're durable. The tails don't bend on you, and they're excellent for dock shooting because they're a little bit more durable bait than some other ones. They're not going to come sliding down on your hook, so you get more fish out of them. The tail action's better, and I think you catch more. So that's kind of the crappie report. The bass, they've been hard to catch, honestly. A lot of them, like I said, close to the bottom, just like the crappie. They've been really wanting to relate to brush. So now that we've had some current rolling through the lake, it's kind of congregating them around some of these points. They're looking for some feeding opportunities. So check out the secondary points, check out brush piles, rock piles. Get your bait down a little bit closer to the bottom. That seems to be key. And since I'm mentioning bottom baits, or getting your bait close to the bottom, you can't go wrong with the jig. It's hard to cover a lot of water this time of year. I believe this is the Dirks jig. I don't throw it a ton, but it's definitely the right profile. You want kind of a smaller jig, something that's going to get down there. So this one I think is a 1/2 ounce, but usually this time of year I like a 1/2 ounce, 3/8 ounce finesse jig or football jig, kind of trimmed down a little bit, and then a slow moving critter craw type trailer, beaver, something that doesn't have a ton of action to it, and you should get some bites. Crawl that around real slow on the bottom. 12 to 14 pound line. I got this on a 7'2" medium heavy action Johnny Morris Signature Series from Bass Pro Shops. 8-to-1 gear ratio. Like I said, 12 to 14 pound XPS fluorocarbon is what I got on here. But you want a little bit lighter line this time of year. You're going to feel more bites that way. It's just going to get a more natural presentation on your jig. And then, you want something like that that's going to have a small profile. Trim your skirt down a little bit and just crawl it around real slow. Channel banks, halfway back in the coves and creeks. Start looking at some channel banks, transition banks, dragging that around some secondary and primary points. You're going to catch some fish. So, of course, we got the jerkbait bite. This has been lacking a little bit for me. This is the Bass Pro Shops Stare Down 110 +1, I think. It's a sinking jerkbait. So this one sinks ever so slowly, and it also has that diving bill on there that helps get it down a little bit. And with these fish being closer to the bottom, I'm really opting for a bait that's going to get closer to the bottom. So I want a jerkbait that's going to dive deeper and maybe sink a little bit. So I'm putting a little bit, this one has just got stock hooks on here, and they're meaty little hooks. But what I'll do to sink that bait even more on, most of my jerkbaits, maybe one that suspends perfectly, I'm gonna just upsize the hooks a little bit. So if I'm using number 6 Hayabusa TBL 930s, I'm gonna up them to like number 5 TBL 930s. Maybe even just put like one in the middle to help get that bait to sink a little bit. So experiment with that. A lot of times I'll do the same thing. A lot of guys will wrap lead wire around here, use the Storm suspend dots. I do the same thing, but most of the time I'm gonna try to get, especially a tournament situation, I'm gonna try to just up the hook size. Not only is it easy, but you're gonna, in my opinion, catch more fish because you got that bigger hook and you're just putting the odds in your favor a little bit more. But check out that jerkbait from Bass Pro. It's a good one. It gets down. The stare down jerkbait, I think they got them at like 20% off right now at Bass Pro. Good bait. You want your jerkbait to get closer to the bottom. Natural colors have been good. Like a cloudy day, you can get away with like the painted color schemes. a little bit more brighter bait. But for the most part, you know, the water clarity down here on the lower end is, I would say, around 6 foot. So you want something pretty natural looking. This table rock shad always gets bit, clear water, dirty water. But, you know, translucent colors, something really natural, like a pro blue type color, is really gonna get you some bites. So stick to, again, brush piles, points. You know, if you see those fish up higher in the water column, that's when you're gonna want to try that. Or maybe, you know, shallower banks, get it rooting around down there on the bottom. These sunny days, fish are gonna get up higher in the column. Fish are gonna push shallower on some of these warmer days. So that's time to check that jerkbait out for sure. Demiki head or jig head minnow or whatever you want to call it. Not my favorite technique, and it's just because I don't have a lot of experience with it. And been using my forward-facing sonar, which we do a ton down here this time of year, and I've been playing with different minnows, different jig heads. But this is an example of what I'm using here. This is probably a 3/16 ounce head, and this is just a 4-5 inch minnow style bait on here. And what you're doing is looking for fish on your forward facing sonar. Sometimes you can throw it out there around cover like you would, let's say, an Alabama rig or a jerkbait, and you'll throw it out around the bottom or around a brush pile, boat dock, something like that. And the fish will actually come out, look at the bait, and show themselves. But for the most part, you have to throw this bait right on the nose of the fish. You throw it right in front of them, or, you know, maybe throw it 5-10 feet past them on your live scope. Let it fall down to them, and then twitch it right in front of their face on the screen, and hopefully get them to commit and bite that bait. A lot of times they'll follow it without eating it, but, you know, fish are becoming more pressured. They've been really hard to catch some days, and I went out just a couple days ago and had 4 or 5 really nice fish one day on that. When it was tough to get them on a lot of other things. The great part about the Demiki rig is you can fish it at a variety of depths without changing rods. So you can throw it a fish in 2 or 3 foot, and you can throw it a fish in 20 foot and be efficient with it. So that I really do like about it. For this time of year, you can be efficient, you can throw at fish, throw at targets really easily. It gets down to depth fast. But I would say like anywhere from a 3/16 to a 3/8 ounce, just depending on how high the fish are in the water column, or how deep they are rather. And yeah, you just kind of got to experiment around and see if you can get some bites that way. A technique I'm playing with, a technique that definitely gets bites from a variety of species of fish as well. So it's been fun playing with it a little bit. So those 3 baits right there have been getting bites. I haven't been throwing a crankbait much. This is just a wiggle wart knockoff. Actually looks really good. Storm, or not, I'm sorry, it's not a Storm. This is a Lucky Strike, which is a really good version of the wiggle wart. If you don't have any of the originals, that's kind of the one I practice with most of the time. If I don't feel like breaking off a irreplaceable bait. But that's a good one. Lucky Strike G5 and Storm, or I keep calling it Storm, a rock crawler is good. Spro rock crawler. Those are all baits that will work when it's in the upper 30s, low 40s. You just got to fish it slow. Points, channel banks, rock transitions are all good places to look. Wind blown pockets, anywhere where the wind's blowing is always a good choice to start with the crankbait. And then, you know, of course, the Alabama rig. Been getting a lot of follows, not a lot of bites. I think I need to downsize my baits a little bit. I got like 3 and 4.5 inch baits on here, trying to get a little bit bigger bite. But, you know, I think you probably want to downsize that a little bit, depending on the day, depending on, you know, the size of the shad you're around even. But Alabama rig has probably been doing a lot of the damage in the tournaments. You can, again, control the depth on it, fish it high in the water column and low in the water column. And again, you know, you just about get them to commit to the bait. You can get some follows on it, and the warmer the water has gotten over the past week, the more aggressive they've gotten on it. So just experiment with the sizes style of swim baits, and you know, your head sizes, and you know, you should catch some fish. I've been catching a few on it, but not what it was before it got really cold. So that's the fishing report, guys. The bite's getting better. We've got some decent weather coming this weekend, and then who knows what, maybe another cold snap I've been hearing, but at least we got some warm weather in to get those water temps up a little bit. We were looking at some freezing cold water and a lot of ice on the lake, so thankfully we had a really nice week and kind of warmed things up. But I'm headed to Sam Rayburn literally in 10 minutes, so I'm headed out the door, and I'm gonna go try to get in some of that warmer weather. Hopefully it's warm down there. I haven't really looked, but we're gonna go down there and try to catch some big Texas bass. We've got the Bassmaster Open series starting down there, so I'm gonna drive this Nitro down there and see if we can't catch a few fish. So just got her broke in, and she's ready to put some bass in the live well. I've started it off by testing it with some crappies, but we need to put a big load of bass in there and see if we can't start the tournament season off right with a nice little paycheck. And then we're coming back here for Toyota Series at Lake of the Ozarks at the end of the month. Should be a cold tournament, and hopefully the bass are cooperating. So we'll keep you informed, and I'll give you another fishing report here in just a few weeks when I get back, and we'll see what's changed at Lake of the Ozarks. But until then, good luck.